Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the #1 undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxy.
What's up, and welcome to another edition of the Boxing Breakdown. I'm your host, Mark Roxy, and I am here with the incomparable Harold Hunt.
What's up? That's nice. Incomparable. Oh, nice adjective. Thank you.
What's going on, brother?
Man, just been studying, man, just loving the whole run up to this whole July 29th situation, just soaking in every day.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, July 29th. If you are not up on the news, which I can't imagine you're not, if you're listening to the Boxing Breakdown, then you must know something about boxing, right? Which is that Terence Bud Crawford is going to be facing Errol the Truth Spence Jr. This is the fight of the decade, people. This is going to be an absolute barn burner of a fight. This fight's going to take place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, and people, put your buckles, strap yourself in, because you are going to go for a serious ride both on this podcast and on July 29th. That is going to be an epic fight. So today, we're going to touch a little bit on, give you a little bit of background on Terence Bud Crawford and Errol the Truth Spence, and then we're going to get into some skills that we believe Crawford possesses, and then we're going to get into some Spence skills and the skills we believe Spence will bring to the fight. And then we're going to break down some fight predictions and things we think, what we think about the fight and who we think is going to win. And we'd love to hear from you. So if you are listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, don't forget to join us on YouTube. Okay? Because on YouTube, you can leave your comments. You can drop them in there. You can also find us on Instagram at The Boxing Breakdown. And you can find us on Facebook Live and Facebook on The Boxing Breakdown. So with that, let's get started, man. Let's get into this. And do not forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to hit the notifications and subscribe to The Boxing Breakdown. So, Harold, let's talk a little bit about Terence Bud Crawford, man. Let's talk about him. Terence Crawford is 39-0 with 30 wins, big wins. I mean, big wins against formidable opponents. 30 wins coming by way of KO. Terence Crawford is from Omaha, Nebraska, and he's an absolute outstanding boxer. He is I guess he's got the WBO World Welterweight title. So, yeah, man. Talk to me about Bud.
Well, Bud is a anomaly in my mind.
Yeah.
He came up from 126, I believe.
Right.
And he made his way up to a higher weight class and carried his power and his skill and his discipline to each category he's in. He's already going into the Hall of Fame because he's already unified. Right. And he has some other accolades I can't name right now that place him in the Hall of Fame. Yes. So that spot is already there for him.
Yeah.
What's great about him, he has opportunity now to solidify his situation as far as where he fits legacy wise. Now that's the fluff part, that's the legacy part or whatever what he's going for. But as we go to the skill set in the ring, to me, it comes down to not a simple thing, but one of the things I want to unpack here is just the fact that he has dog in him.
Yeah.
Now, people have dog in them, and they're derived by different ways. I believe I spoke earlier. Jordan's dog came from his dad. He wanted his dad approval. His dad liked the other son, and that's where he developed his dog because he wanted his father's approval, and his dog was born of that situation. With Crawford, he came from a different situation where, you're in Omaha and he's in a certain area where, you must have a wherewithal to keep yourself alive, if you will. That culture there was, it's exciting and it's dangerous and all that. And he thrived in that.
Right.
And he had a life and death situation. The bullet was shot at him, hit the window, saved his life, all of that. Prior to that, though, he did, in fact, have great skills as a wrestler. He was a wrestler in high school. So all of that type of discipline that he picked up, he got that early in the gym, on the mat, all of that. That all came from that. And that's where the dog started to develop. And as you look at how he fights inside, he uses some slipping moves. And my brother was a wrestler. And I seen some moves. I see what they have to do. I see what they go through, and he incorporates that in his fighting. Now I can go into that further, but he just has a great background to end up at this juncture. I mean, he's able to use, in wrestling, it's not about your weight. It's not about your technique. So as he moves up in weight and being a wrestler, you realize it's not about my weight, it's about my technique, and his technique has carried.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're talking about quite possibly one of the best, if not the best, boxer on the planet. Arguably, of course, but Terence Bud Crawford is definitely among, the top fighters in the world, and if not the best, the baddest man on the planet. So we're talking about a fighter that really does know his game, and will be on his game come the 29th. He will be in tip-top shape and ready to go, and it's going to be really, really interesting. So the other thing about Terence Crawford is that I don't know if you guys know, if you listen to the last podcast that we had. We were talking about the idea and the notion that 35 is old. Harold and I were going back and forth about this idea that it's old, right? Well, we know that 35 is not old because here we are a week later and we're having a conversation about a 35-year-old fighter who is, arguably the best fighter in the world. And come the 29th, we're going to actually find that out. When Terence Bud Crawford squares off against Errol, the Truth Spence, who is from DeSoto, Texas. He was born in New York. I don't know if you know that. Errol Spence was born in Long Island. So, yeah, man, but Errol Spence is 28-0, 22 big wins coming by way of knockout, no losses, no draws, and Errol Spence is, I believe he's like, I don't know, how old is he? Do you know how old he is?
He's
33. He's 33. That's right, he's 33. Yeah. So he's 33 years old, man, and southpaw. Bud Crawford is a southpaw, so I don't want to divulge too much yet. But he's from Texas. He currently holds the IBF World Welterweight, WBA Super Welterweight, and the WBC Welterweight titles. So this bout is just.
The marbles, buddy.
Bro, I am salivating off of this, people.
And Ring Magazine. And Ring Magazine.
Yeah, that's right. And the Ring Magazine. This is literally for all the marbles. This is a a welterweight showdown of the decade. And some people are saying it's, among the best fights in the last 40, 50 years. So I think that's, we're going to find out, but you could say that, but we have to wait and see the fight and see how it delivers, right, Harold?
Yes, we do. So many factors that you can work into. And a lot of time when big fights like this, you get in a situation where you're starting to reach and grasp for stuff to kind of help the narrative, to make the fight even and this,
Right.
that, and the other. There's no room for that here because the accolades
Wow.
are true. There is no embellishing of either skill set. It is on point. So when we go through this and when we talk about whose set is this, it's clear. There's no movement on it. It's not contrived. It's real. So we have a clean matchup of really good styles. And Mark, as you know, styles make fights, and we got two styles that we can just figure out how they're going to mesh with each other.
Right. No, I mean, you are spot on, man. This is, like I said, the fight of the decade. And yes, these styles do make fights. And the style matchup here is probably the big hubbubaloo about this fight because, there are very intricate, complex things that we're talking about in terms of the fight, right? So we know that the styles that these two individuals are going to bring into the ring are going to wreak havoc for one another. I mean, these guys are going to be in the fight of their life. It's a 50-50 fight at best. What do you think about that? You think it's a 50-50 fight, Harold?
Initially, I saw a 50-50 fight. Now I see an edge to someone. And the edge that I see is to someone, and I'm not going to necessarily talk about that right now. What I'm going to do is get a situation where we're going to see who does what. So, first of all, I want to say that there's a level that is attained by one fighter that the other one hasn't attained, or we haven't had to see it. So that's the only variable I see. And I can go into that further later, but someone has a skill set separately than another. The other one has never been forced to show that skill set. So if both of those skill sets come out in this fight, then we have a different situation. But without that skill set being in place by one of the fighters, I'm giving the edge to one of the fighters.
Okay, well, let's get into this. Let's really, really chop this up, Harold, because what we know, right? What we know is that Terence Crawford is probably one of the most skilled southpaws or orthodox fighters on the planet. This guy can switch. He has a lot of variable skill sets that he can deploy in the fight. He can pull out, he can box, he can punch, he can counterpunch, he can set things up. He's defensively, a little vulnerable. Actually, that's one of the kinks in his armor, I would say, is that he's less responsible than Errol Spence. But, this is a young man that has everything and can switch through those adjustments relatively quickly throughout. You can all of the variable skills that are necessary in a world championship fight of this caliber. And that has me really concerned for Errol Spence from the standpoint that I don't know if Errol, the Truth Spence, has the kind of gears, if you will, to shift through as the fight is happening. I just don't know. He has a very, very strong skill set. His boxing is built on the fundamentals, and those fundamentals are very, very clean, very accurate, very effective. And I think that those skills that he's going to deploy in the fight, if he's able to back up Bud and keep Bud on it, on his back foot, and not get hit, he could be very successful. But I'm just not sure.